Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 46 of The Ultimate Pill. Super excited that you're here. Really excited for this show. Anthony and I are both feeling pretty good. Is that accurate, bro?
Absolutely.
We've had some really good dialogue before even going into episode 46. It's kind of cool. We reminded ourselves of why we're doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's good to do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Get back to your roots.
Because you can get lost out there looking for the fruit, you know?
Yeah. You gotta find the roots.
Yeah. If you're out there too long, man, some of them branches will break. Snap! Pluck! That's when you fall. You got to get back to your roots.
I got a funny falling out of a tree story later. Further later. I landed on a fence, bro. I'll tell you, I won.
That must have hurt.
It did hurt. But I beat the fence that night. The fence didn't win, I did. But yeah, let that be a lesson, man. Like you're saying.
We got to make sure to get, aside from the whole chasing the fruits on the edge of the branch, we got to get to some point you hitting that fence, though.
Yeah.
I got to hear about the fence.
It's a great story.
But you were saying about the metaphor.
No, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want to find the fruit. Sometimes it's good to start back at the base.
Yeah, because if the fruit's not blooming, or like it, then you just, for some reason, your expectations don't feel like they're aligning with how things really are. I think that has a lot to do with health. Is a lot of anxiety, I think, comes from like not meeting your own expectations. But sometimes those are unconscious, so people don't pay attention to them,
Yeah.
And it's just kind of just drives you mad almost.
That's good.
But
I like, for me, it's like fruit, and I'll like go down these paths.
Yeah.
And it's like, I shift over to this avenue, and then it's like, okay, I need to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
I can look at the past couple years with my own researches, and there's like a natural reoccurring pattern like that. It's
That's
like,
cool.
Go, come back to the basics, come back to the foundation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sure there's something in there that we can pick apart, but we'll stay on the surface for a little bit, and just, that's kind of what episode 46 is going to be about, y'all. Is what we were talking about even before the show, is like, how do you maintain a level of self-directed behavior that is powered by confidence, courage, ambition, while at the same time having that ideal, that aim, right? Mm-hmm. In the distance that says you're not as much as you could be, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of, it's almost like a calling out of you. Hey, there's more to you, man. And that's internal. That's like an inner dialogue that develops when you're able to slow things down a little bit and kind of like pay attention. So I think that'd be really fun to explore tonight in episode 46, because we went back to the basics. We talked about that we started this to help and to support life. And I admitted, I was like, you know what, man, I think I've been trying too hard the past 5 episodes. Like, I feel good, man. I feel like I've let some things go. And I remember that this is just a creative journey with my best friend. And don't try to like be more than you are. Just be what you are in that moment on that show. And I say all that along the lines of, hey, tonight, like, let's get back to the basics, and let's like talk about what it takes to engage with the world in a productive manner.
Yeah.
While still knowing there's more to you than you can ever imagine.
Yeah. I think, like, hearing you say that, I thought about my life personally, and like, and I think I've talked about it enough on this show. I'm kind of, man, it's been my whole life. Like, I've had my feet in 2 different realms that seem diametrically opposed as far as athletics, and you can even throw education in there, and then the film creative side. And I've always been like that. I've had a camera in my hand since I was in second grade, but I've also been playing sports since I was in second grade. And I was raised with a father that was a football coach. Mm-hmm. So I've always been that kind of dichotomy, you know, like I've always had to be a jock and a nerd. And both of those sides, one of them's getting hidden depending on which, you know, setting I'm in. But my true passion and dream is filmmaking, creating, storytelling through the medium of filmmaking. So hearing you say that, I was like, man, I can think about my journey and the ups and downs I've been in and the back and forths and where I've been at the past 5 years, because that's when I really got like headstrong into full-time coaching and teaching. And I tried to give up the whole film dream. I really fell in love with coaching and working with kids and was having a lot of fun doing that. And I thought, you know what, maybe this was the way I'm supposed to go, you know, and maybe the film stuff was just a hobby or a passion. And I really tried to give it up, and it did not work. It didn't go away. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was hearing you say that, I was thinking about those moments of, like, a lot of times for me, it'd be driving. I don't know why. I do a lot of thinking when I drive, and I'd be like, no, I think part of it, and this is where we can dive in and help people is listening to those, like the inner, it's not even like a calling almost, it's just a tug. It's like this inner pulling or inner like tugging at me. This is, it's almost like a nuisance where it's like when you pay attention to it, you realize, well, I still have a dream. I still have a passion for this. For me, it was film. And it was like, I'd be in those times driving home from work and be like, I'd feel almost, maybe, and this gets where you're at, like a little bit of guilt, but it was like a guilt to myself. The only person I had to feel guilty to was myself. And it was like, hey, you are betraying a part of yourself by not pursuing this in some capacity. Yeah. And when I have the courage, and I, for me, it might be more of an act of courage for others. For me, it was like a little bit of that, a little bit, because look, man, I'm in my life now, and like people in my life still don't fully understand like what that is, and that's okay. I've had to reconcile that with the film, with this, with the podcast stuff, anything creative. It's just, unless you are in that world, people are like, what do you mean you want to be a filmmaker? Like, what does that even, how do you even make a job out of that? Or like, and that stuff doesn't matter to me anymore. It used to really bother me. I understand that people who don't have that same dream aren't going to understand it. So maybe that's some encouragement right there too. Yeah. Like whatever that dream is that's tugging at you, that passion project, whatever, that thing that's pulling at you. Sorry, I'm getting long-winded, but
no, keep going. Like,
having the courage, one, to say, okay, I do need to pursue this in some capacity, and then having the understanding or the empathy or just the humility and security to realize, like, not everybody's going to fully see that dream, and understand it, and it might feel lonely at times. Just know that if it does, you've got two dreamers right here that would love to just hear you out or help you. Yeah. So you're never fully alone, but it might feel like that. So anyway, I mean, what I'm getting at is, and hearing you say that, it was like, I can think of those times where I had to take the courageous step to say, no, I do need to pursue this. I do have a passion for this, and I need to see where it goes. And I don't care if it gets to the wildest dreams of what it could be, of what I dream it could be, but I'll rest content knowing that in 40 years, I can sit in front of my kids and my grandkids and say, I did have this passion. I did have this dream. Look at all this work I did. And if it didn't go anywhere big, then that's fine. But at least I showed them that I had the courage to sit before them and say, I tried my best, and I really did try to pursue this. You might think it was just a funny, silly hobby. It wasn't that to me, and I put in the work and the courage and in the pursuit to try and make it happen.
Absolutely.
And I've told people around me, like, I literally, that is a thing over my head. It's like, what kind of man would I be if I, sat, and we all know people like this. Like, I get towards the later years of my life and say, well, I always wanted to do this. I always wanted this. Yeah. But I never, what did you do about it? Yeah. And it's like, I it wouldn't sit with me. It wouldn't sit right with me if I was that. So sorry, I got long-winded, but
no, that's perfect, because that's kind of what I exactly started thinking about halfway through you were saying there was, man, like when you just understand that you're creating art, when you're pursuing any sort of creative endeavor, like you're capturing a snapshot in time. And that's what I kept thinking about. And it's so cool that you trailed perfectly into, I was like, wow, he literally landed on the thought that I had. That's cool. I had that thought, and then you got there, man. Yeah. But I was literally thinking, like, what you were defining was, you're going to have a snapshot in time that you can share. And that's art. Yeah. That's what art is. Yeah. That's what creation is. Creativity, I should say, is you grab a snapshot in time and you form it into something and you keep molding it and you make it into something beautiful. And me personally, like, I feel like I'm back to that.
Yeah.
Like I feel so natural right now.
Good.
Like this just feels so natural to be sitting here behind a mic, recording a podcast with you, because it's all gone back to creating something that is hopefully helpful.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just feel, dude, I feel good tonight, man.
Good.
I feel natural.
Good. Yeah.
I'm feeling blessed. And I feel the fact that we're like, are creating art.
Yeah.
By pursuing these dreams that is really all about what you learn about yourself.
Yeah. For
like
sure.
That's one of the funnest parts of doing anything creative.
Yeah.
Is what you learn about yourself.
Yep.
Like what we've learned from doing this show together and courageously, like you were just so beautifully describing, that you had to have that courage to take that next step and remember that thing that brings you excitement and encourages that spirit within you to really get out there and do that work and that effort and that training and that practice that it takes to be able to do that creative art and form it into something that is beautiful and helpful for others. Like that's the funnest part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my encouragement to, like you were saying, you were split sometime, and that's role confusion. And that's, that can become very frustrating to the human mind. Like, if we were talking about Jung, he'd be talking about the persona. That's like multiple personas. Yeah. Like having to balance themselves out. That could be very frustrating. But to have that courage, like you said, to say, no, I know which one of those is true to me, or that feels true, and I'm going to find the most creative way to develop a lifestyle that lets me do both, because that's also creativity and, having that hope. Maybe creativity and hope have some sort of connection that we could find tonight. But it's funny, we wanted to initially talk about hope, but now we're talking about just pursuing anything creative. And that could be anything that you are literally taking whatever resources you have and combining them together and making something of art that captures a moment in time. Like that's why we love paintings.
Yep.
Because you're looking at someone's perception within that moment in time, and it just does something to you. Yeah. It almost like it's that thing deep down within that when you see like these paintings that are just so famous, you just kind of stare at them and you become transfixed by it. And that's what art is. Yeah. So if you're out there and you're kind of on the fences of, man, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Like, why not just do it? And then just like Anthony said, like 40 years from now, you'll have that opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Like I thought this was going to happen, but this happened, because that's always how it works. Yeah. I thought it'd go this way, but it went that way. Yep. But looking back now, look at all this that I have. Look at all this that I've created. Look at all this effort that I put into this life in the hopes that it helps other people's lives. Yep. Like, I really do think that creativity and hope have something to do with each other, man.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think before we get to hope, we have to, because I do want to go there. I think part of that is breaking down that dichotomy that you talked about before, that I mentioned on the last episode, which is that combination of humility and hubris. Because I was thinking about what you just said and what I'm trying to get at, and it really does come down to a paradoxical combination of those. And the reason why I was talking about it last episode was because I teach the kids during our strength presentation about the philosophy of my philosophy of strength training, and I tell them about there's 4 common elements of nature, but the 5th element is humanity, and that 5th element of humanity is made out of hubris and humility. And humility is the state of being humble and not thinking you're better than anybody, but you combine that with hubris, which is a almost foolish amount of confidence in yourself. And the two balance each other out. The two seem like they're diametrically opposed, but in combination they become a paradox. And I think that's a key word, because Jung always ridiculed anything, especially religions, when they tried to rationalize away their paradoxes. He thought there was great strength in paradoxical symbols. And so the symbol of humanity as a combination of humility and hubris, vitally, vitally important. And I see elements of both in what we've both been exploring so far. So for example, like with the idea of like being misunderstood in the pursuit of a dream or a dream job or a creative endeavor, that's where that hubris is going to come in. You're going to have the hubris, which is almost foolish amount of confidence in yourself and accomplishing that dream to even get through that, because you are going to be misunderstood. Which, by the way, I want to put a footnote there. It's okay to be misunderstood. Some of the people that even currently are living right now that have done amazing things, but especially those that in the past that have done amazing things, breakthroughs in whatever field they were in, were vastly misunderstood. And I find confidence in that.
Yeah.
It's okay to be misunderstood. And it's very easy when you're trying to pursue a creative endeavor or a dream to get kind of nihilistic about that misunderstanding. People around me, the people that support me or that should support me, don't really see what I see in this dream. And it's very easy from there to go down like this angry, nihilistic, approach to reality and others.
Let me add this real quick and then you keep going. Okay. Emerson said, to be great is to be misunderstood.
There you go. And that's absolutely true. And so it's very easy to go the flip side of that and kind of go down this dark road of being misunderstood. But I would say, bro, like, have confidence in the fact that anybody that achieved anything great was probably misunderstood at some time, especially if they were trying to pursue something that the world couldn't even comprehend at that time. Elon Musk is one that I think of, like that guy is vastly misunderstood by people that don't really like fully try to take the time to get to know him. Yeah. So that's the hubris side. And the humility side is to me, like, I've had to be checked. See, like when I was younger, it was full hubris. Maybe that's a common path or archetypal path for young men. I see it a lot in the young men I train. All hubris, right? This foolish amount of confidence in yourself. Mm-hmm. As you get older, hopefully you get a little bit wiser, a little bit more mature. You kind of start to check that hubris with a realistic humility, and which to me comes with understanding. So when I was younger, I had a goal board. It was like winning an Academy Award at 21. I was like, dude, at the time, I was like, yeah, bro. I was like 19 or 20. I was like, that's going to happen. And we're making films. We're doing this, blah, blah, blah. We got our own film company in college, And that was foolish. I hadn't put in the work to achieve that at that age, and no one's ever achieved it at that age. Looking back now, I can, and it was a long, hard process of 9 years basically of learning that. But the truth of the matter is, I haven't put in the work, or as far as like pushing projects out to even achieve that. Yeah. 35 would be a more realistic goal, like 6 years from now, and having put in 10 to 15 years of worth of work in filmmaking as a director behind it. That's way more realistic, and that's checked by humility. That checks out. So to me, it's like you get that understanding, humility part where it's like knowing where you're at, knowing what you need, working on, focusing on your strengths, but understanding your weaknesses and understanding the work that takes to achieve your dream. Yeah. Right. Cause you can't just say, well, I have this dream. I'm going to be a superstar. I'm going to be in the NFL someday, but you don't do the work, Yeah. But then to even have that dream and to accomplish it, you still need that hubris side. Mm-hmm. So again, I got long-winded, but that combination I feel like is going to help a lot of people with self-worth, because if we're struggling with self-worth, I think you're a little too much on the humility side. Like you need to throw in a little bit of that mix of that hubris and having that foolish amount of confidence or near foolish amount of confidence in yourself and in this dream, and having it checked by humility and vice versa. I
love that. Two things before we move on. Number one, don't ever say you go long-winded, because when you talk, it means things. And I learn, so don't ever apologize for that. Number two, Elon Musk?
What about him?
Like you said, like when you get to know him well, like you know him?
I've watched every single Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman interview he does, which are usually 3 to 4 hours each.
Oh, I thought you like shook his hand.
No, I don't. I'm just talking about, I'm
sure he's so, I mean, if you study that, like that's what Abraham Maslow did, and he came up with, the hierarchy of needs that is very influential in American culture. Yeah. And what he studied the successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yes. And that guy is successful.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Starlink is providing Wi-Fi to people that have never had it ever in Africa and stuff like that.
Well, I'm a big from the beginning kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And you hear I think I'd listened to his book like years back. Yeah, I feel like, because I definitely remember, you know what? For my undergrad, he was my, because it was an undergrad in leadership, and I had to choose a leader, and I actually chose Elon Musk. So that's where all this comes from. Listened to his book, something along those lines. But with SpaceX, like it had those few early on failed launches.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on this launch to where he literally like took, I can't remember if it was from test something, but if this failed, it was over.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of situations like that.
And to still have the courage and strength to like still stand there and stare and be like, I mean,
yeah,
that's, I mean, I don't know what got us to, oh yeah, because I thought you knew Elon Musk, which got us talking about that, but that ties in everything we're talking about is like, there's got to be hope in that moment, that there's that humility of, all right, well, if this space shuttle goes up and straight down, like, what am I going to do next? Like, I need to understand that not everything in my life is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having that hubris of, this is going to work.
Yeah. Yep.
I believe in my efforts. I believe in my team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I believe in our preparation.
Yep.
I believe in our execution. This is going to go up. It's going to land, and I'm going to be a billionaire.
Yeah. I think, so that's great. And I think
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that takes me to another point I wanted to make about.
Oh, can I, hold on. And then before we go, because just real quick, before what you were talking about, and you were mentioning like you were hubris early on and then humility, dude, bro, experience develops humility.
Yes. Yeah.
So good. Like, let's clarify, like, that is, you need to hit rock, like, and when I say rock bottom, like, you don't have to go as far down as like, say someone like I went.
Yeah.
Like when rock bottom is subjective, right? Everyone knows when they're rock bottom.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to hit a wall. Maybe we'll call it that.
Yeah.
That reminds you like, hey,
yep.
Like, hey, remember, you've got to be humble in the game. Like, and it's engaging with reality and life and really contending. Remember, oh gosh, that was back in the day.
Yeah.
Contending with reality on its terms, like in the episodes 20s, the 20 decade of our show.
Yeah.
That was an awesome one. But you've got to be out there and contend. And it's in that contention to where you start developing that humility. It's almost like that self-compassion even of being like, oh, you know what? Like, maybe I'm not good enough for that right now, but with effort and practice and training and devotion and learning and just like really focusing on this whole personal growth game, which for the record, everybody, it's all that is just developing a better relationship with yourself. All of it. I've kind of chosen to believe that, especially when I practice, like it's all going to be about helping people develop a better relationship with self.
Yeah.
Through multiple strategies and coping skills and different modalities and things very evidence-based and scientifically proven, but still, like, I feel like all the personal growth stuff and everything that we talk about really is getting to a point where that person has that self-worth that we were kind of talking about to even start this show. They have that self-worth. Hey, you know what? I am worthy of living this life. And because of that, you start opening yourself up. Your paradigm shifts.
Yeah.
And you see reality differently, because it certainly is a reflection of our inner reality. Like how the objective world is experienced subjectively. So when we can develop that positive subjective experience through having worth for ourselves, like life itself is going to become a more satisfying, meaningful, and fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
Because of the work that we've done within ourselves. So it's funny that we finally got to self-worth too. Yeah. Because that's what we talked about in the backyard before we even started this amazing episode 46 of The Ultimate Pill. Yep. Is like, man, like, how do we stay motivated creators who are really here to help, while at the same time, like, balancing this ideal that is a judge, like you've said so many times for us, you know? Like, where's that balance? And I think it has to start with the relationship that we're having with ourselves, which comes from having self-worth and knowing that we all belong here. Yeah. Yeah. But it's our choice what we do with the experience.
Yeah, it's good. I think underlying all of that, and underlying the Elon Musk story, and underlying, I know for a fact, my story, and I can expound on that further, is failure. And being okay with failure. Because I think so many times, I could see times where I've battled with self-worth where it was a fear of failure. And I've had some great failures. And you're supposed to fail fast. And the thing I think about with Elon Musk or any entrepreneur that's gone out there and like even my best friend Xavier, who, oh my God, the amount of failed businesses him and I alone together have completely failed, where we're like, yeah, dude, we messed up. I mean, we tried to start a dumpster business last year and we had to return the things, like failed. Yeah. He's done that over and over, but he just kept going and he wasn't afraid to fail, and he would learn from every failure. For me, I shared this with the kids today. We went on a fun run around the whole school, did certain activities as we went, it was kind of like PT.
Fun.
And at the end, we finish on the field and I have them all stand there, do a breathing exercise, staring at the goalpost, something far away, to calm them.
Cool.
And then I have them meditate on some of their biggest letdowns or failures from the past 6 months. And then I have them pass around the football, and I say, I want you to visualize and take as much time as you need with that ball, but we're going to put our failures, all those failures you can think of, it has to be one minimum, put them inside the ball, pass it on to the next person. Wow. And so we did that, and I said, there's a whole reason behind that, but I shared with them one of my greatest football failures, and I might have shared that story on there, but I snapped the ball over the punter's head out the end zone for a safety for the other team on Halloween night, ESPN game. We've just broken out brand new black unis. The whole stadium is packed with people dressed for Halloween. It was a crazy game. Again, on national television on ESPN, I snapped the ball over the punter's head, which should never happen as a deep snapper. And it was the one thing that I was terrified of. Like all the way up that season, up until that point, that was how I played, was like, don't do that. Is this like state of fear. And when I did that, it was like this is a bad dream. And then I recovered because, and I told the kids this, I had to go out and play. I had no choice. There was no other deep snapper on the roster. I had to go out and play. I had to go out and snap it again. So what are you going to do? And I figured it out. And what I told the kids today, I said, from that point on, the rest of the season, the rest of my career, I was free because the greatest calamity that I could imagine had already happened. And guess what? I lived. I didn't die. Wow. The world didn't stop turning. I didn't get kicked off the team. I didn't get, I failed. And I was able to be free from that.
So in that moment, what strategies and what I call real-time skills, or we'll call them, so yeah, let's start calling these, like I'm talking online skills. So what's some online skills you did? When I say online, we're talking about you're like in a very dynamic verb state. You're engaging with reality. And then when we say offline, those are those staring at a goalpost, handing off. Those are offline activities.
Yeah.
But in that moment, dude, you just live TV, D1 football, snapped it over a dude's head, got to the sideline. What online strategies did you use to get your mindset back into a state to where you can go back and play D1 football? Because it's still happening.
For sure.
Just like life.
Yeah, exactly. The next play's coming up. So what's funny about it, talking about humility and hubris, I had to check back into humility, because what got me there to that point where I realized my greatest fear up to that point and had to live it was hubris. The reason why the first two snaps prior to that were perfect, and I wasn't really thinking about it. It was in between the second and the third snap where I snapped it over his head, where in my head, I got cocky. And I literally was like, man, I'm having a good night. This is fun. The energy's up.
Yeah, for sure.
My brother's in the stands dressed as a robotic pimp, because that was our production company.
Shout out to Frazier.
Yeah, shout out to Frazier. I mean, sorry, it wasn't Frazier. We still don't know who that was. We don't know who Pimp Bot was.
Oh, my bad.
No, it was my bad. Anyway, so
12 people are going to know now.
Yeah. In that moment, though, I was like, you know what? This next snap, I'm going to go snap this punter in half. I'm gonna send it back there, bro. And that's what happened, is I sent it over his head. So to answer your question, I had to check out of hubris back into humility. Talk about humbling. Like, bro, like all the attention was on me. The camera, when I watched it back later, and my dad recorded it. The camera's following me on the sideline, and they're like, the announcers are like, oh man, what's he gonna do? What's it? Okay, what, and they're like pausing the play with the punter jumping up in the air, and they're like, if you're starting forward in the NBA, you're not gonna be able to catch that ball. Like just dogging me, right? So, and I felt that. I didn't know that at the time, but you could feel it, right? So I had to immediately check back into humility. It was a combination of like humility and just like this like steadfastness like reality check where I don't know how to explain it, but like I got to go back to being humble and realize, okay, I have a job to do and I need to do it. And then second of all, like just that reality check where it was like the next play's coming up. Yeah. Like it was like, okay, what do you want to do? You want to go run and hide and step? You can't go run and hide. You can't check out. The next play's coming up. You're going to have to punt again. You're going to have to snap again. Yeah. You're going to have a field goal snap, whatever. So figure it out. It was, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it absolutely does. And now humility's just bouncing around in my head. That's got something to do with hope.
Yeah.
So we've landed on creativity. We've landed on, hubris and humility. We'll talk that, but I really want to key in on the idea of humility and having the fact that you are aware enough to know that it was in that failure to where I was really able to step back into understanding like what I truly need to be doing to make sure that this is going to go as good as possible. Like going out there and like playing with, and then we're going to get back to fear, because I think fear has a lot to do.
Yeah.
Because my fear is different than yours. So I'll describe mine after this real quick and then let you finish up your thought on what you were saying. But I think the fact that you were able to now look back on that and say, in that moment, I had to step back in humility. I knew I caught myself being a little arrogant. And for that reason, I have now developed self-knowledge, which in turn, like we say on this show, leads to a positive relationship with self. And that's personal growth. Yeah. I think that goes back to, if we're having a show that we're talking like very practical about what it takes to really go out there and try your best to be a successful person, and whatever that may look like for you, it takes a lot of these things that we're talking about tonight. Yeah. But again, I think I want to harp that point tonight, that all personal growth is intended to really help you develop a good relationship with yourself. Yeah. And that's where the self-worth idea comes in that we're talking about, which we really think has a lot to do with our hopefulness. Because I will say, kind of the clinical definition for depression is a loss of trust and hope. And when we lose that hope, when we become hopeless, the world becomes very dark. Yeah. Yeah. So close your thoughts on that, and then I'm going to talk about my fear. Sorry. Yeah. You just got me thinking about how hard that must be. Yeah. So I want to help so bad with that, like, and how, or support in whatever capacity I can with that.
What, with hope?
I have a lot of compassion, man, when I, empathize with what someone in a depressive state, the experience. Like, it hurts, man. Yeah. Like, did you know that the part of our brain that processes pain is the same for physical and psychological? The sensory input from a physical pain is different. You're going to feel it on the surface, so forth. But the processing of the pain is the same.
Checks out.
So I hope this show does that tonight. Like I wanted episode 46 to be on that level, bro. Like gives people that hope, man, that, hey, we're all in this struggle together, but tonight we're halfway through. Hang out with us. We're going to make sure this gets better as we go. But we're going to try to figure out how to develop that self-worth that gives us hope in life, man.
Well, so I think, especially where I'm at right now, I think I'd be remiss to say, if I don't say, that wrapped up in this courage to face failure is the courage to face humiliation. Because in like that, and that's just a football example, but that football example, bro, like no one, I've said this, no one should know your name on the team if you're the deep snapper, because that means you're doing your job.
Yeah, checks out.
Everybody knew my name that night. In fact, well, anyway, so it was humiliating on a grandest scale. But what I'm getting at is, like, it was on national television, but what I'm getting at is I lived. I didn't die. I didn't, no one tried to beat me up. Like, I can't stress enough that the willingness to face failure, face the fear of failure, face the fear of humiliation, and realize, okay, I've got to get up. I've got a job to do. The next play is coming, metaphorically. You've got to play the game and put that in context of whatever that looks like for you in your life. Yeah. Once you face that and go through it, it's like everything becomes easier. And so the humiliation part, I think, getting back to hope, though, I just want to say, like, I don't know if we can have the courage to hope before you have the courage to face failure and all that's wrapped up in that, the fear, the humiliation. You know, you get what I'm getting at? Like,
I'm finding it very interesting, the similarities between the word humility and humiliation. I think humiliation occurs from a lack of humility.
Yeah. Well, for me, especially in that instance,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been faced with a humiliation if I had more humility towards my job and that snap, you know. That's a great point.
And I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that the fool always precedes the hero.
Mm-hmm.
In all the stories and metaphors and parables that we love, like the fool always precedes the hero. So to understand that at times you will look foolish when you're out there consciously engaging with your life, not just because if we're running unconsciously and not self-aware, it doesn't even pertain to us.
Yeah. No, and I think that's
doesn't
what
even
stops,
pertain to us.
That's what stops people from chasing those dreams that they have, whatever that dream looks like. I bet if we took a poll or a survey, it'd be like an inordinate amount of people say they don't pursue that dream because they're afraid of what people think. And I get it. You get it.
Well, that's me. Well, that would be my fear. That's what I'm going into. That's what I'm going into. But one more before we move on, and before I talk about my fear that kind of gets in the way of self-worth and having that hope is, it's a weight to carry that responsibility of being devoted to your life. Mm-hmm. It's a weight. And I say that just because of what I heard today. There's a student athlete, gave him another chance this year, just did good about halfway through the football season and has gone downhill. It's not going good. Multiple chances to where normal, and I'll be honest, like if we weren't trying so hard, because I and many people understand the value of athletics, especially nowadays for young men and women, all parties involved. It's very healthy for them. Gives them sense of belonging, develops self-confidence, discipline. It's so important. Anyways, I digress. Unfortunately, the weight was too much. And there was a group of people talking, and I was like, dang, man, like it was hitting me. I was like, man, I really tried. A lot of people really tried, not just I. A lot of people really tried. And someone said, yeah, the weight became too much for him. And I was like, yeah, the responsibility of him doing the right, consciously, consistently trying to do the right thing was just too much. Was just too much. And again, let's like really earmark that. Like we haven't said this in a while on our shows. Like this is a grind, man. Like everything we're talking about tonight, like you are going to have to enjoy the work. So make sure that your creative act is intended for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Because that will keep you encouraged through those challenging times.
Yeah.
So make sure it's something that is intended for the best, for the highest, for whatever that may look like in your world.
Yeah.
Because the responsibility is heavy. It is easier to not do this. You're going to tell yourself that. We tell ourselves that, I'm sure, sometimes. But when it's meaningful and you know that it's for the right reasons, man, that weight will be like bared in honor.
Yeah.
And in like almost like a grateful sacrifice, man. Like a productive struggle.
Yeah.
A productive struggle.
Yep.
So just be prepared for it too.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking about taking on, new adventures, be prepared for what that adventure is going to entail.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you are going to be a fool at first, but at one point you will be a hero.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot to get to that heroic point. So be ready.
Yep.
Get ready and believe that you can do it. But remember that it's all about the effort and the practice. Sorry, now I got long-winded, but that's what it takes, man.
Yeah, no need.
Be a good person.
Yep.
Work hard. Wake up and be ready for the day. Then give the day everything you got.
Yep. Yeah, the work.
Help all along the way.
Yeah.
Yourself and others. Fall and get back up. Drive home. say hi to your family, eat dinner, thank God for the day, go to sleep, wake up, and do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
That's what it's all about, man. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
And maybe hope is found when we devote ourselves to the journey itself, man. I don't know. I'm long-winded on that. We'll talk about journey maybe, because maybe we need to overcome fear. Because you said your fear was failure. Mine is, so the best way to put my fear would, make sure the words are correct. I think mine would be the fear of not being accepted. That would be my fear.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people's fear.
Yeah.
In pursuing anything out of the ordinary of what society says you should pursue.
Yeah.
That was my point with humiliation.
Yeah.
And
you need to be able to look like a fool, man.
yeah, for sure. And you will. But that goes back to that hubris thing we're talking about. Like, that's where you have to have a reliance on the hubris and the confidence that entails in yourself and the acceptance of being misunderstood. If for the hero to become the hero, they're going to have to do some stuff that everybody probably around them will say, that's not possible. Why are you pursuing that? And there's where that fool archetype comes in that precedes the hero. But you'll never get to that point where you are the hero if you're not willing to get through that point. And that's like where I'm at, especially like, I know that's where you're at. Like
the hero's got to be strong enough to slay the dragon, man. And he's got to go through all the trials and tribulations and thresholds and fortify himself and strengthen and become power.
Right.
And then slay the dragon.
But he's also got to have the strength to, like, that's all the exterior strength. I don't know. I'm really heavy on because I'm going through it right now. But like
that's all interior strength, bro.
Well,
all those trials and tribulations overcome, what that develops in a person.
Yes. But I'm talking about the strength to overcome the people around you.
Oh yeah.
Like in the loneliness of that trek. I think primarily because I'm going through it right now, personally, with the pursuit of my own dreams and goals. I can't tell you how many times recently I get down about no one understands this, barring probably you and maybe my brother. No one understands me in that sense of what I'm trying to accomplish with my dreams. And that can feel very lonely. That can feel like, I don't know, like despair at times.
Yeah.
And discouraging. So that's where I'm really heavy on. But I go back to times like the story I gave with one of my greatest failures in football. It's like, bro, I've faced the humiliation. So what I'm not afraid of it. It's just like, God, I wish some people understood. But maybe that is just the weight of, and that's what I was trying to get at with what you're saying about doing the work. Yeah, there's all that work we have to do. But maybe part of that work is just bearing that weight of misunderstoodness or like the loneliness of that track. So
yeah, I think what you were able to identify, explore, and understand was the emotional state of guilt that you would feel below fear. And it was in those moments where you'd feel that sense of like isolation, was that guilt that if you were living in a different way, you wouldn't be feeling like that. So that's kind of what guilt does. It puts the responsibility on the person for the emotion itself, when in turn they don't understand that the emotion itself is being created by the meaning that they're giving to the situation. So I'm thinking you were able to surrender guilt, man. And now that sense of isolation is okay, knowing that, yes, you got me 100%. You got Frazier 100%. There's certainly other people out there 100%. There's that fan of ours when I was at the basketball game that said they listened to our shows during class every day. That's one.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what that's what's been able for, that's what I've been able to do to process and to say tonight, episode 46, man, I'm literally like taking this in. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting behind a mic right now, like talking to a very cool guy, like creating something.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about, and I'm going again to the journey. Like, to me, it's back to that.
Yeah.
It's all about like who I'm becoming through this journey that is the ultimate pill.
Right.
And something, because of the hubris side of us, Something will come of this.
Yeah.
100%.
For sure.
But it's not about that to us. And I think that's what I've been able to like let go of, that fear of not being accepted is, oh, dude, to me, it's back to the journey, dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's just back to sitting behind this mic, like setting the studio up and the experience together. Like, that's what it's all about to me again.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's going to be a much more supportive, authentic show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we cruising, man.
Yeah. I want to say
the reset button in 46, man. We rolling, dude.
Yeah. No, that's good.
We went spiritual and we got some things figured out, because those 6 episodes that we last did were for us, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, man, like it's really interesting, like how I'm able, like how I've gone through some, man. All the things that you shared and talked about, like things are very clear. And it's cool that I've been able to understand some good stuff, some very deep stuff about human nature through those last 6 episodes we did. So if you want a deep dive, go from 40 on. And it's depth psychology type stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we were in psychodynamics and psychoanalysis, and very Freudian, very Jungian, very Alfred Adler was a big one. Like I just felt like we were channeling those, but 46, we back at it.
Yeah.
Powerful, taking all those spiritual ideas and to talk about, like we're doing today, bro, how do we take all this stuff that we're doing together, creating on this show, and getting out there and creating a freaking successful personal and professional life? No, actually not even a healthy, because that's all that matters. Actually, no, I'm not going to use that word success anymore from this moment on. Healthy.
Yeah.
A healthy personal and professional life, because that's all that matters.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
Because success is such a...
No, you want to, I don't know, like you said, personal.
I think
and
success is very external. We're focused on the noun. Verb is healthy is a very verb state.
Yeah. And personal and professional, healthy. Yes. And the balance of those. I want to say, like, because you're talking about the journey and how that's a point of strength in those times of doubt. And I was going to say, I agree with that. And then I would add to it too, for me personally, going back to like stating those times of isolation, what I do draw confidence or courage from is and you're going to like this because this is about that relationship itself, staying genuine to who I am. Yeah. Like, even if, okay, let's say like we did let the weight of doubt and misunderstoodness about this podcast weigh us down and we quit. You and I would still be having these conversations.
Facts.
We would still be meeting up and talking like this stuff. If I let all that stuff defeat me and I tried to give it up with the film stuff, I'd still be writing stories. Writing or whatever, like trying to create stories or thinking of stories in my head or drawing. So it's about this, getting back to your whole key point, which I love, is that relation to self. For me, personally, I find strength and confidence and courage from being genuine to who I am. I don't know why. But it's always been on my heart. God placed it there to be creating and doing this stuff. Yeah. So if I'm misunderstood for that, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's why those times of discouragement and when I get like that is very fleeting. Yeah. Because I realize, well, what else would you do? It's kind of like that failure thing. Like when you do fail, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to go run and hide? Yeah. The next play's coming. So for me in that, I find it gives strength to my legs, bro, to keep going. Like, hey, you're being genuine to yourself. What do you want to do? You want to fundamentally change your nature? Yeah. Like, I can't. If you took everything, all this away, in 10 years, I'd still find a way to find a camera and start making stuff again.
I would venture out to say, and I have not read any research on this, but I would venture out to hypothesize for sure, man, that there's some form of negative correlation between life satisfaction and letting part of yourself that you enjoy so much die.
Yeah. Holy crap. For sure. And so talking about self-worth, if you're struggling with that, I think where I would go, and I'm not a professional like you, but I would go, well, we need to find out what it is that brings you joy, brings you the joy as a consequence. We're not seeking joy, but as a consequence to pursuing a passion. Yeah. What are you passionate about? What provides you meaning? For me, and I've talked about this on the show, that happened to me, or I was put in that place when I was presented with the question by my dad, talking about where I'm going to go for college. what would you, if you woke up and had the best day of your life, what did you do?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and maybe that question doesn't work for others, but that question framed it very easily for me.
Yeah.
Because I sat and I thought, okay, well, when do I have the most fun? When am I feel the most satisfied? I'm like, holy crap, it's those days that Fraser and I would get up and make stupid movies.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff, but we were creating.
Yeah.
And that was my answer. And he's like, okay, well, you need to pursue film.
Yeah.
And I have never stopped.
It's funny that I think so Jordan Peterson said humility and gratitude, which is, I really like how you're talking about the hubris and humility side, but I do think a person's mental health would improve if they did find that passion in their life that would at least allow them to reframe their beliefs and thoughts about just life itself.
Yeah.
And it would help them change the inner dialogue that oftentimes can cause a lot of depression and anxiety and stress. If even in like the day-to-day grind, man.
Yeah.
Like the day-to-day grind, like knowing that you are still energizing and inspiring that part of yourself that is pursuing something that brings you that joy that Anthony's talking about. And that could be playing the guitar.
Yep.
Knitting. It could just be that thing that you allow to imagine and let your mind trail off a little bit and believe that life is worth living and it's worth putting in the effort. Because, yeah, there's those day-to-day challenges that I have to overcome, but I'm doing what I can by pursuing something that brings me joy, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. That could be raising a healthy family.
Yep.
It could just be that higher meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's so important, man, is just to remember, like, it doesn't have to be for fame, fortune. I just really think
it shouldn't be.
Mental health, like if you're struggling, like maybe with like, find like something that you enjoy creating that brings you passion. This show helps me on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon because I'm thinking, oh, cool. New show drops tomorrow. Can't wait to hear.
Yep. Because you created something, not because you want to hear your voice. Because it's
100%.
Because we created something. Yeah.
To hear just, and again, you like, if you're creating something, like you got to provide feedback to yourself.
Right.
It's like watching film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we record on Mondays now. All right, cool. Monday's awesome. You get a new mindset Monday. And you see what I'm saying? And that's all like Tuesday afternoon.
Yep.
And it helps with my beliefs, which are directly connected to how I feel, which improves my ability to have positive affect.
Yep.
And because of that, I'll behave accordingly. And then it feeds back into that loop that we've talked about on this show, back into experience. And then we put that same meaning on the challenges that we're facing that day. And the meaning is like, I am strong enough to handle what I need to right now. But at the same time, I know that I'm living something true to who I am. And for that, the right people will stay in my life.
Yep.
Talking about relationships.
Yep.
If you truly believe, and this is where the work that we talk about on the Ultimate Pill comes in, that your creative journey or your passion project or the meaning that you've attributed to your life is for the highest good, then you pursue that with all your heart and you don't stop. And for that reason, the right people will stay in your life.
Yep.
And you're going to have to look like a fool sometimes.
Yep.
You will look like a fool sometimes, just like Anthony and I do. Just like anyone who's sticking their next foot out into the great chaos and trying to make some order from it. Stick your foot out there. Keep one in order, but stick your foot out there and see what can happen when you just stretch yourself a little bit. But never forget, man, that it is okay to say, this is true to what I believe. I stand firm. My foundation's set. And I'm going to walk the path straight and narrow. And the right things are going to happen along the way, including people. And yes, will we have to deal with challenging people? Yes. Just like the challenges of everyday life. That just happens to be in human form. And you handle that in the best fashion you can, but you keep moving forward towards what brings you to life. Because it will help you in the dark times. That's the glimmering light at night that we all love looking at. It's that little piece of hope sitting out there. It's that little piece of hope sitting out there reminding us that you're worth something. You're here for a reason. Get out there and create something special. And if that just becomes your own life, you make your own life a work of art, man, you make your own life a prayer. Man, we both gotten long-winded tonight, but that's okay. You make your life a prayer just by pouring yourself into it. I don't know, man. I think that's hope.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good.
Why are we both apologizing?
Yeah, don't apologize. This is
We're into it. We're into
supposed
it.
to talk.
We're into it. Very into it tonight, man.
I think that's spot on because everything you just say can be wrapped up in that Nietzsche quote, which is, "He who has a why can endure anyhow." And so I think that's spot on. I think it's really cool we landed there. I think it does lead into hope because I was going to say this. I bring it up all the time, but it's an integral part of my life, which is the story of Lord of the Rings. It's far deeper than just a fantasy novel. I read it every year, and I'm currently in a reading, so maybe that's why I keep bringing it up. But the primary...
You're so cool.
I'm not, but...
No, that's cool.
The primary moral of that story is hope. Aragorn, the one of the main characters, one of the Christ figures in that story, because there's really three. His Elvish name is Estelle, and it means hope. I'm going to get that tattooed eventually on me, but in Elvish, but it means hope because he is the Christ-like figure of the king returning to the throne. That hasn't there's been no throne. There's been no king on the throne for thousands of years. He's the embodiment of hope. But like I wanted to say this quote: Frodo goes to Gandalf and he's like, "I wish the ring had never come to me." Like this great burden of evil. It's this ancient primordial evil, and it's in Frodo's hands. And he comes to Gandalf, and in his wisdom, Gandalf's rebuttal to that is, so Frodo says, I wish the ring had never come to me. And Gandalf goes, so do all who live through such times. But it's not about that. I'm misquoting here, but he says it's about what we do at that time and what's been given to us. And that to me is hope. And another part of that running theme is he says something else later. He says, yes, there's all this will and all this power of evil working on us, but don't lose hope because there's good still too. And it's this belief in, despite all of the suffering and hardship going on around you or in your life that you're experiencing, you've got to believe. And this is maybe where like journaling and meditating on times where you have been brought through the darkness or you've been saved, a eucatastrophic moment, but recounting those times where you've been brought through the darkness into the light is going to help you believe in that good will that's coming. That always is acting too. It's not solely just the forces of evil acting on you and your life and reality. There is good too. And you've got to look to the dawn in that sense.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, getting back to genuineness and that relationship with self, I find a lot of hope just through the hardship because I know I'm pursuing something, going back to what you were saying with that strong why and that passion, but also I'm pursuing something that's genuine to who I am.
Yeah.
It's genuine to who I would be regardless of anything. So.
And we got to the original idea of the show.
Yep.
And you wrapped it up perfectly right there. To have hope, it begins with self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
And to have self-worth, you must have that healthy relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm. And for that to occur, like what you just said, you need to be being that thing in your life that brings you to life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, I think at that point, those challenges and struggles that are inevitable, man, they just become a little bit more, it's the meaning to them changes. Like you use belief a lot, like the meaning of them changed.
Yep.
And I mean, you got to remember too, it's very challenging to kind of the way I look at it is like when we get down to that source and that memory to where we remember the good that is life, it takes a lot of stuff to move out of the way, you know, because we've been through a lot and we've learned a lot and we've experienced a lot. And all that has a very big influence on our emotional state and how we experience life itself. But to get back to that treasure, man, that you just kind of described, that moment that brings you hope, that brings you back to life, it's going to take a lot of digging and getting past a lot of those things that kind of cloud. But a metaphor that always, or I should say, I think maybe this is an analogy. You could help me with that. Sometimes I get those two things confused.
I do too, though.
Yeah. But anyways, it talks about how the sun is always shining behind the clouds, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it could seem cloudy. But I think if there's anything that we can provide on episode 46 is that, you know, for hope to exist, you've got to have worth for yourself. And whatever's preventing you from believing that you are worthy, then that's where the work begins that you talked about early on in this show, of sometimes those struggles are really focused on what you're becoming yourself.
Yeah.
So self-worth equals hope. And one more, and then we could even close it out tonight. Hit a hard hour. But Viktor Frankl developed logotherapy, you know, after his time in the concentration camps, World War II. And the whole premise, I should say, the foundation of logotherapy is healing through meaning. So we always go back to that on the ultimate pill, and we stand firm in it that the real powerful, healthy relationship with self occurs when you get that strong meaning for your life. And I think that's what comes from what we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
Whatever creative endeavor brings you meaning and will help instill hope in your life, healthy family, graduate degree, anything, whatever that thing that gives you that drive to get out there, like, do it, man. Do it. And then I think it's through the journey, like Anthony's talked about tonight, that you develop a better relationship with yourself through the process. And then at that point, that's the meaning, is what you're becoming. Because that's what's going to really, I'm back to that. The ultimate pill is all about what you're becoming and how you're helping along the way, Chris. That's it. And whatever comes from that, but I feel good back behind the mic again. Like, it feels natural again. Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. And that's the hubris side. But I'm also humble enough to say we got a long way to go, brother.
Yep.
But we're lockstep.
Yep.
Right foot right. We're going, because it just brings us that hope in life, man.
Yep.
It helps keep it alive. And I could guarantee you that this show really improves my life satisfaction and wellness. Aside from all the other things I'm grateful for, but this show definitely has a big correlation to my life satisfaction and well-being, 100%. And I think the more of us that have the opportunity to say that with whatever it may be, being a good student, that's very powerful. And that'll help those beliefs become a little more self-fulfilling rather than self-limiting. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Something like that. Ultimate Pill 46, man, that was good.
Yeah. I keep thinking about people with struggling with self-worth, and I'm like, every hypothesis, you have to give one assumption. There's always one assumption behind every single scientific, like one given. So somebody in front of me, myself even, struggling with self-worth, the one assumption I would ask you to give me and you is that you're here for a reason. Let's just start with that. You don't have to believe it's true. Let's just assume that you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And from there, it becomes a really fun, adventurous life to figure out what that reason is. And that is following a breadcrumb trail of meaning and passion and that nagging I was talking about, like that pull. For me, the reason that I'm here, I wholeheartedly believe this because of all the trials I've been through and the experiences, I try to get away from it, is to be creating in the medium of audio and visual entertainment. I don't know to what ends that'll happen. I have my own dreams and visions. That doesn't matter to me anymore. It's the fact that I believe that that's my reason for being here, and I'm going to choose to pursue that and see what happens with it. And it provides my life personally with great meaning, and it provides me with that why. So give me that one assumption. Give me the one assumption, the one given that you're here for a reason, and let's figure out what that reason is. And there's some self-worth.
Awesome.
There you go.
The law of expectancy. Close out 46 with that. Just take what Anthony just said right now and expect that great things will happen. And start doing your best to believe that. And that's kind of where that internal work comes. Because when you develop that inner clarity, you're able to see things much clearer. And it allows you to really process through just everything in a very more like logical, pragmatic, rational sense. And yeah, man, just remember it. I'm so big on that tonight. It's all about what you discover about yourself, man. That's what I think is real meaningful for me in all this, you know. And that's where, when I'm honored to work with people, man, that's literally what it's going to be all about, man. It's like, we're really going to get you to know yourself really well.
Yeah.
Because I think once you know yourself really well, then you know life really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So get out there and live with hope. I mean, let's close it out with that. Just live with hope. We went up, we went down tonight. We got energetic. Caught myself really talking again, like I was just in that almost what definitely wasn't even, the words just come out. Mm-hmm. Had a couple of those moments tonight. Always special shows when that happens. I could close out and say, "Oh, I was in a flow state." Definitely,
yeah,
a couple times tonight. But we went into it with believing and wanting to pick apart the idea that self-worth allows us to have hope. And my hope is that the last hour helped you with that. Mm. I hope we were more practical. I hope we were more surface level oriented, solution focused, strength based. And you were able to kind of see those things in yourself tonight that, yeah, man, maybe if I did just commit to making that creative work of art that is my inner reality, and just started waking up every day with the assumption and the expectation that good things were going to happen and you were capable of overcoming. And if it starts with the assumption that you're here for a reason, then we're both here to attest that that's true. And if the first step is putting your shoes out by the couch, and that would make you feel like you had a small accomplishment, do that. Mm. And then maybe your clothes. And then you wake up 30 minutes earlier. And then you start a gratitude practice in the morning. And then you start really understanding all those things about yourself that create worth. And as you're doing all those small micro disciplines based off truly knowing who you are, then you're able to have that hope. And that's, I'm going to close it out tonight. I've been talking too much tonight. Love y'all so much. Anthony's going to close out tonight. I just got into it tonight. We were talking about so many things that I find, this is my passion. This is my passion, what we talked about tonight. Mm-hmm. Literally. And I'm so great. I'm on cloud 9 right now. I just recorded a podcast with my best friend about literally things that I read about on my offline time. Mm-hmm. So episode 46 was great. We talked about self-worth, talked about creativity, we talked about humility, we talked about hubris, we talked about relationship with personal and professional self. We talked about, what else we got in there? Hope. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah.
So I text Anthony before the show, and I even said it at dinner tonight with my family before we recorded. I said, I think hope needs to be what we talked about, I think hope needs to be what we talk about tonight. And we did it. Love y'all so much. Anthony, close us out. I'm out of here. Love y'all, love y'all, love y'all.
I'll just say that if you're someone out there struggling with finding that self-worth or having the courage to pursue that dream, reach out to us. Message us. I did a call out years ago on my social media when I was pursuing my film dream hard. I said this is a call out to any dreamers, whatever that is, musicians, rappers, artists, whatever you want to be, and you need help, reach out. And I had a bunch of people reach out. How can I help you? I'm a video guy. Do you need video? Sure, I'll come and do it for free because I know where you're at and I know where you've been, and we're in the same boat, Chris and I. So if that's you tonight, reach out to us. Reach out to us and we'll help. Episode 46.
I can't help it, man. I had to say one.
Go ahead.
Episode 46. Peace out, y'all. Love you. I love what you said about we need to do that. I think I have an idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Later, y'all.